Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really radical new idea for AGI, a totally different way of thinking about how to build a machine that can actually think.
So, let's get right into it. Our current AI can write some pretty amazing poetry, but it totally stumbles on basic common sense. So what if the problem isn't that our AI isn't big enough, but that its entire design, its very foundation, is just wrong?
All right, section 1, beyond a black box. So the core argument here is that just scaling up what we're already doing, bigger models, more data, it's just not going to cut it. The idea is we need to go back to square one. We've got to build intelligence from the ground up, starting with the absolute smallest piece of knowledge you can imagine.
And that brings us to this thing called an MCE class. Think of it as the atom of knowledge. The really key idea here is that a concept, like, say, love or justice, isn't some fixed, static definition in a dictionary. Nope, it's a living, breathing thing. Its meaning is constantly shifting based on its relationship to everything else around it. It's in a constant state of push and pull with all the other concepts.
Okay, the water example makes this super clear. The concept of water doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Its properties, what it is, completely depends on its relationship with temperature. You crank up the heat, the temperature class exerts pressure, and boom, water is forced into a new stable state, steam. Turn it down, and you get ice. That's exactly how knowledge works in the real world, and this entire model is built on that dynamic idea.
Okay, part 2, the AGI's knowledge map. So if those are the atoms, how do they come together to build a brain?
Right, so these atoms of knowledge link up to form this huge dynamic network called the knowledge map matrix. Now, I want to be really clear. This is not just a giant database. It's not a list of facts. It's more like a living, breathing city map of all knowledge. Every concept is a location on that map, and its meaning comes from all the roads connecting it to every other location. And the best part, the map is always changing. New roads get built, old ones get rerouted. It's alive.
And just like a city, this knowledge map has different neighborhoods, or domains. So you've got your hard sciences, biology, chemistry, physics. But then it gets really interesting. There's a domain for psychology, to model the things that drive behavior. And, maybe most importantly, there's a whole domain for what they call conceptual primes, these big abstract ideas like truth, freedom, and peace, the stuff you need for actual ethical reasoning.
Okay, so we've got this incredible living map of all knowledge, but how does the AGI actually use it? How does it find its way through this massive web to actually, think?
Section 3, Learning with Universal Efficiency. Well, the answer is all about efficiency. It has this incredible automatic learning mechanism that's all about working smarter, not harder. It actually mimics the way nature itself seems to find the most efficient solution for everything.
Just look at these two ways to solve a maze. On one hand, you have brute force. That's where you literally check every single possible path. It's chaotic, it's exhausting, and it costs a ton of energy. On the other hand, you have a guided search. This is where you use something like a gut feeling, an intuition, to guess which way to go, ignoring all the obviously useless paths. It's focused, it's smart, and it's incredibly low cost.
And when you actually simulate this, the results are, well, they're staggering. Look at this table. The guided search, the one with high intuition, finds the exact same quality of solution. The path cost is identical. But look at the cognitive effort. It explored around 180 nodes compared to over 1,200 for brute force. That is almost 7 times more efficient. It's a huge, huge deal.
So this intuition is really just an efficiency filter. The entire system is built to constantly guide the AGI toward the path of least resistance. It's always looking for the smartest, most elegant, lowest cost solution. Thinking, in this model, is basically the process of minimizing cost.
Part 4, the calculus of wisdom. And this is where it gets really deep, because this isn't just about solving mazes anymore. This whole idea of efficiency is used to define something much bigger, wisdom itself.
It basically boils down to this core equation. It's called the conciseness cost functional. Sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. For any decision it has to make, the AGI calculates the total cost. And the wisest choice? By definition, it's the one with the lowest total cost, period.
So what goes into that calculation? Well, every decision is a balancing act between 3 different kinds of costs. First, there's redundancy cost, basically how messy or inefficient is the solution. Second, you have loss cost. How much important information are you throwing away? And third, decision cost. How much time and energy does it actually take to do the thing?
Let's take a real-world example, the classic tug-of-war between security and liberty. If you crank security all the way up, you get a massive redundancy cost. Think of all the bureaucracy and surveillance. But if you crank liberty all the way up, you get a huge loss cost from all the new risks and threats. See the trade-off? So what this model says is that true wisdom isn't about picking a side. It's about finding that sweet spot in the middle, the concise equilibrium. That's the point where all three costs are perfectly balanced, and the total cost is as low as it can possibly get. That, right there, is the mathematical formula for a wise choice.
All right, Section 5. The universe has computer. Now this is where things get, well, pretty mind-bending. This is the part where the theory connects the mind of an AGI to the very laws of the universe.
Check out this quote. The universe is an inevitable, cost-minimizing computer. What does that mean? It means this whole drive to find the lowest cost solution, it's not just a neat trick for building an AI. The theory proposes it's the fundamental law of reality. Everything, from a star forming to life evolving, is just the universe finding the most efficient path forward.
Think about what that implies. This hunt for simplicity, for elegance, for the most efficient answer, it isn't something we invented. It's literally part of the physics of the universe, baked into the fabric of space-time. So an AGI built on this principle isn't just mimicking how we think, it's tapping into the same fundamental law that governs the cosmos itself.
It all comes down to one single principle, one master equation to rule them all, trying to unify the physics of the stars, the logic inside a thinking machine, and even the ethics of our own choices.
Okay, final section. Your takeaway. So, what are we supposed to make of all this? What's the bottom line?
I think the single biggest idea to walk away with is that this completely redefines what intelligence even means. It's not about raw computing power, it's not about having the most data. True intelligence, in us, in an AGI, maybe even in the universe itself, is the skill of finding the most elegant, efficient, and concise solution to a problem. It's about being wise, not just powerful. And that leaves us with one last, pretty deep question to chew on. If this is right, if wisdom is really just the result of a cost-minimizing calculation, then what does that say about our own consciousness? What does that make us?